Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here with my competition loadout from the 2025 Moons Out Night Vision competition. If you're unfamiliar with Moons Out, amazing, probably the best night vision competition I've ever been to. This was their second year in a row, put on by Forgotten Weapons, as well as a bunch of other companies honestly making it happen as far as sponsors, stuff like that. I think the title sponsor this year was Q. They had some crazy stuff on the prize table, and yeah, it was amazing. So I'll go ahead and go over the gear I used for the competition pretty much as it comes out. I didn't really unpack much of anything from most recent trip back east to go shoot it. Takes place at a range, Echo Valley Training Center, I believe it is, over in West Virginia. But I guess we'll try and start bottom up if we can. Over here, one, this bag, I don't know, had it for well over 10 years. I've used it a ton. It's by Outdoor Research. I'm pretty sure they don't even make it anymore, so I don't remember what it's called. But from the bottom up, was wearing these boots. Have reviewed these a while back. These are the Salomon Tundra boots. Definitely my favorite cold weather boot, and you never really know what you're gonna get there at that Echo Valley Training Center. I remember shooting there when it did snow a little bit and it definitely rained. Having cold feet, hard pass, so I ended up bringing these. They did a good job for me. One, traction wise, everything like that. It never actually rained on us. First night was colder than the second night. Never had my feet cold, which is a good thing. So yeah, ended up wearing those. As far as socks, wore these right here. These are by 0.6. 0.6, if you're unfamiliar, is what I guess Smart Wool was when they eventually sold out. They waited for their non-compete to end, started back up. 0.6 in reference to 98.6 regulating body temperature. Really nice, thick cushioned socks. Again, kept my feet nice and warm. As far as pants, pretty much wore these every night. And some underwear and socks and a shirt. Pretty sure those are clean, or they're dirty. I just haven't washed them yet. But I ended up wearing these. These are they're the Testa Softshell pants by Beyond Clothing. I really like them. They're my favorite colder weather active pants. In that one, this material inside here, it vents really well if you unzip the pockets, and it's just really nice brushed, soft, like soft shell material, keeps you warm. These did a great job for me. I was never cold. I was also never really that hot. One thing, there's all this black carbon, may or may not be able to see. Oh well. Basically, I use this pouch over on my left side as my dump pouch. I will say, one, per the rules, you can't leave any gear. Well, you can. If you leave anything, magazines, whatever else, on the course, it's a 60-second penalty. Pretty steep, so don't really want to do that. Also, we'll get to my gear later. I didn't have a dump pouch, so I ended up dumping mags in there. This zipper pull is actually pretty easy to find, which is good because I definitely started some stages not really thinking it through and having this zippered closed. But yeah, really easy. Open it up, shove my mag in there, conduct my reload if I needed to. Pretty much everything was like a tac reload. I don't think I ever had like an emergency reload. As far as the top, both nights ended up wearing this right here. This is from Varusteleka. It's from the 2025 Fire and Ice. Such a fun competition, but yeah, merino wool, long sleeve, kept me nice and warm, and we'll get to this in a second. First night was definitely colder than the second night. The second night, honestly, I started with this jacket because I needed to carry it. So I'm like, oh, I'll put it on, and then first stage, I took it off, never put it back on. It was much warmer. This did a good job for me like the entire time. For that first night, it was colder. I ended up wearing this right here. Honestly, probably one of my favorite jackets, and don't wear it in a ton of videos because everyone's like, hey, what jacket is that? And then I tell them and they're like, screw that. And I get it. This is by Wild Things Gear. This is their Active Flex jacket. It's crazy expensive. It is made very compliant, basically direct sale to the military. You can buy them if you want, but again, very compliant, US materials, US manufacturer. It's like 850 bucks. It's crazy expensive. It's also really nice and super durable. This thing just keeps on going. $850 nice. If you don't have to buy very compliant, you're probably not going to, but yeah. Active Flex jacket by Wild Things Gear. That was, well, I guess that was my clothing. Other things in this bag as they present themselves. This right here, Dillon Rifle Company. This is their jalapeno. Thing's really cool. I think I reviewed it before already. Basically, you take a hot gun to include a hot suppressor, shove this thing in here, and then you stop burning things to include yourself, which is pretty important. I ended up bringing it. I never ended up using it. The reason I brought it is because, we'll get to my guns later, but shooting in 2 different divisions. So I was gonna have 2 different guns, and depending on when I shot, I'm like, man, if this gets screaming hot and then I have to move to another stage, I can go ahead, slide this thing in here, just leave it on there, not burn myself. Didn't need to, and even if something did get screaming hot, I just made sure to hold it away from myself and didn't burn myself. So we'll get into, well, a couple other things right here. This right here is by Cole-Tac. It is their, I forget what they call it. It's a hand warmer, and you basically clip it either around your waist. Sometimes I'll just throw it over my neck, shove your hands in here, keep your hands nice and warm. Definitely important when shooting. You want to make sure you have dexterity. I brought it, never ended up using it. That first night was the coldest. Almost loaned it to my buddy, PSR, and he's like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. So I went ahead and left it in my bag. Never got to it. Something else I brought, did not use. Again, hate being cold. These are by Beyond. These are their, I think it is their Cetra Durable L7. It's basically high loft pants that you can just put over whatever you're wearing, zip them up, really nice and warm. And so I actually kept these inside my pack that first night. I think I brought them my second night also. Never put them on, was never cold enough, but these are pretty clutch when it gets cold. Rarely do people have like, oh yeah, this is my warm pair of pants. Usually they'll have like 12 different jackets and then like some pairs of jeans or something. Not warm. And so being able to actually have an overpant that you can put on pretty much anything that you happen to be wearing, really, really nice. Again, didn't need it because of the weather, which was fortunate. Next, go over some Eye Pro, Ear Pro stuff. So these right here, pretty much continue to use them because they're great. It's my Smith Director Elite with some Zeiss prescription lenses, prescription ballistic lenses in here. Do a great job for me. Also, don't have it out here. Oh, maybe I do. Some of the Zip Wax, local company in me up in North Idaho. Basically an anti-fog. Did a great job. There was, I think maybe 1 or 2 times I ended up fogging a little bit. It was actually after I had shot the stage 4-minute par time and I was just really hot and gassed out. Fogged up these lenses a tiny bit. Pretty sure it would happen no matter what, but that stuff largely did a really good job for me. Then right here, I have my OpsCore amp headset. And with this, these are the connector eyes. So took it off, I think it's in my backpack. Actually have a boom mic there for running comms. And then this guy right here, which connects here. This is a down lead to a push to talk. So I could communicate with a radio, which I guess I'll speak to that right now. I knew one of the stages there was going to be kind of an integration of some communication aspect. So I wanted to make sure I basically was set up for that communications. This being the first year they actually did a course with, or did a stage rather, with communications. Ended up not needing it because of the way it was set up, but I want to make sure I actually was set up for it if did need it. And then this right here, which I think is just called their like skull mounting system, something like that. Again, by OpsCore. Quick aside with respect to OpsCore that I do appreciate is they make all of the things so everything works. In that, whether it's this or their ballistic helmets, they make basically headborne gear, helmets, things like that, to include respirators, soders, hearing protection, eye protect, all of these different things, and they all work seamlessly. So you're not like, well, I got this one helmet and this other ear pro, and now I'm trying to find something to make this guy work with this, and it doesn't quite fit, whatever it may be. All their stuff works. So I have the arms on here, on this guy right here, and I actually really like this setup. There's 3 different adjustments on there. If you don't need ballistic protection, like a ballistic helmet, then this is the answer. What about a bump helmet? No, this is still the answer. You either need ballistic protection or you don't, and if you don't, this is probably it. It is the lightest, most comfortable thing, really easy to adjust, which is actually really nice too if you ever bring out new shooters that have never experienced night vision. This will adjust to pretty much anyone's head versus like, oh, what size hat do you wear? And it's like, oh, my helmet won't fit you, but here, try and put this really uncomfortable helmet on that doesn't fit so you can kind of share in the experience. Not with this. These will fit anyone. Really, really nice. Which brings us to other gear, specifically this guy right here. This is my Winter Warfare Assault Kit by Spiritus Systems. And it basically is comprised of a bunch of things that they make, just packaged together and sold as a kit in Multicam Alpine. So I probably need to just finish my review of this. What I really like though is it's turnkey, you throw it on, you're good to go. I will say, having shot this in Finish Brutality 2025, Fire and Ice, does not play well with belts and holsters on your belt, but as far as the Alpine kit that you're going to throw on, and again, think lots of layers, probably not have exposed belt and holster, does an incredible job. So the way I had it set up is, well, over here is a push talk. Inside here, I have my radio, took the antenna off, otherwise it would probably break in transit. This was in my check bag. And then I think in here, pretty sure I still have it, did not take it out. Couple things. One, I ended up for sure on night 1, I think a tiny bit of night 2, I ended up shooting with these gloves. These are the SKD Tactical, or SKD Tactical makes them. They are the Presscheck Assault gloves. Probably my favorite gloves from SKD Tactical. Not super warm, but dexterity and a lot of other kind of features built into it. Makes it really nice. And then this right here, I've had and honestly have not done much with, because it's like, where do you even use this thing? It's basically a merino wool like Skullcap. This is made by Tactical Distributors. I never really had much of a use for it in the sense that it is not terribly warm, like at all. It's pretty thin, and so if I'm going to end up wearing a beanie, I'll probably put on a more substantial beanie. Having said that, this underneath that skull mount by OpsCore was really nice. I basically wore it all night, and it surprisingly kept my head really nice and warm. It was really nice. Pretty much saved me there. The second night, again, it was warmer, didn't use it. Over here we have, well, I guess on the back of this, there's a number of different elastic cells. In this one right here, have a chem light. During the competition, everyone was marked with a chem light. I kept that one right there, and it put off enough light because everyone's under nods for people to see me as it needed to as a marking device, but didn't overpower anything because you don't want to blind people in nods. The way it was set up, again, shooting 2 different divisions. I was shooting 5.56 as well as 8.6 blackout, so 308 pattern. And this has mag pouches essentially on either side. I was shooting these right here. These are Surefeed E2. Love these magazines. They unfortunately stopped making them. And yeah, did a good job for me shooting those. And then over on this side, a couple things. One on the back here, elastic. This right here is a RMT Tourniquet. Used it. There was a med stage. In the med stage, you ended up using the stage tourniquet, so didn't put it to use, but it was there. Same with inside this pouch is a bunch of med kit. And then this other mag pouch right here. Again, it'll fit 5.56 or 308 pattern. I was shooting mainly these. I think I had maybe one 20 rounder. The rest were these 25 round P-mags for my boombox in 8.6 blackout. Did a good job. I do like, again, that I can use this for anything. Shot 2 different divisions, use the same setup, either with these larger magazines or the small ones. Of course, with these pouches, I think these are their spud pouches. It'll fit one of these. I don't think you could get 2 of these in there. And if you could, it would probably be so tight, you'd probably drag them both out when you tried to, remove one of them, but do a good job with holding one. Which brings us to backpack and night vision. So for this competition, whatever you have is what you have for the night. Like, there's no going back to your vehicle. So everything you're gonna need is on your person. With that in mind, I definitely had a lot of things I needed to carry. So I ended up bringing this right here. I do not remember the name of this backpack. I do know I reviewed it a long time ago. Like back when I was still filming on a GoPro Hero 4 Black, long time ago. Oh, there we go. The name's on it, Mantis. I forget how many liters it is. I've used it again for years. I don't know. It's probably about 15 years old at this point. I will say, man, I was like, please do not break. Some of the stitching, it looks like, is kind of starting to come out on one of these shoulder straps. Pretty sure it's due to this competition. So you have to carry everything, to include water. And in here in the bottom, I had those gray, those level 7 pants. I had those sitting down there. And then I basically had all the ammo I was going to need for the night, which turned into a lot of weight. So for 5.56, I was shooting, well, just 5.56. I'm 55 grain. I might have a box in here, like Winchester white box M193. And then almost all of my 8.6 blackout was from Just Cause Solutions. Most of it was 300 grains. Some of it was 350 grains. So how much does that weigh? The answer is a lot. I don't know how much weight was in this, but enough to where, one, it was difficult to put on, really heavy to carry, and I was afraid it was actually going to rip one of the straps out. Way more weight than this backpack was made for. So because I had all of that, like 200 plus rounds of like 300 grain ammo, as well as 200 plus rounds of 5.56, and all the associated magazines as well. But pack worked, made it, hasn't destroyed itself, so I was pleased on that. And then, not that I carried around inside of this backpack, but I actually carry, well, this was my carry-on also, so I did carry it inside this backpack traveling. This right here is my night vision case. This is from Licentia, or it's actually made by GWA Design, I guess, but I got this from Licentia Arms, who made my night vision for me. And inside here, a couple things. One, Wilcox G24 mount. Pretty sure it's G24. I always forget. And then this is actually pretty cool. This is, reviewed this a long time ago also. Battery tester, loaned it to a couple people in the competition so they could basically check batteries, make sure they were at least starting the night with a fresh battery. And then inside here is my night vision. These are DTNVS, have one CR123 battery on here, and, the housing DTNVS. Inside here, Gen 3 L3 filmless white phos tubes. They're incredible. Really, really incredible. And then on here is the Grec X. It is a mission recorder, allows me to basically record everything I'm seeing, which was really cool because for the most part, buddy, PSR, print, shoot, repeat. We filmed each other's stages for each other, but there were certain stages where you couldn't go film because of the confines of the stage, like how tight it was. So being able to actually have this mission recorder on there and still capture footage of what was happening, that was really nice. And then something I occasionally use, not that often, but were actually really handy during this competition, are these caps right here from Phokus Research. And what they allow you to do is you drop them down, shrinks the aperture, and increases your depth of field. So certain stages where you wanted a wider depth of field, to include maybe you have to actually read instructions, it was really cool to be able to drop these down, adjust focus, but not have to have this really, really minute adjustment like you would otherwise have to do in order to get something into focus. And then if you move it all, it goes out of focus. Being able to drop these things down, really, really handy. Hey, come here. Go find something else somewhere else, buddy. Those, well, I guess that's probably all I had to say on those. And now I get to pet my dog for a second. Which now brings us to guns, and first, gun case. So I've reviewed this before. It's actually amazing. Over here on the one side, you actually have a lock, and with it, a locking bar that runs through everything. So you only need that one lock in order to totally secure your case. And then there's a handle on that end. There's wheels over on that end. I will say one of them is kind of busted, like super squeaky, but still rolls. And then when you open this thing up, we have all of our treasures inside. The thing I also really love about this, you can see the imprint there, but anything you put in here, it's basically a couple layers of essentially like memory foam. You do have this vapor or water barrier, I guess, pretty much waterproof. But because of this memory foam, anything you put in here does not move from where you put it in there. I'll go over some of this stuff real quick, I guess, since we're here, and then go through the guns in a minute too. I did bring this right here. This is a PVS 14 green Foss with a arm on there. This is their AX14 Pro. Thing's actually really nice, lightweight mount, but I brought that as an extra for if someone needed it. Same with this right here, did not use it. This is my B.E. Myers Mall C1 Plus. Actually loaned that to Ian from Forgotten Weapons. He had a pretty sweet setup he had going. Right here is some Spec 76. This is from, why am I blanking? Sons of Liberty Gunworks. It is their lube. I found it to do a pretty good job. Ended up using that on the guns, zero issues. And then right here is my Fix-It stick set, which probably should have just given to Ziga from Polnar Tactical because he borrowed it at least a couple times every day. He made good use of that. And then I guess go over slings, pull guns out in a second. This one right here was actually using on this gun. This is the Tac padded sling right there. And then this right here is the Blue Force here. This is actually the Viking Tactics, one of the padded VTAC slings. Really like that. Ran it on this gun, and I'll show you these guns now. When I say I shot in 2 divisions, they have only 2 divisions, one of them being active, the other one being passive. So in active, you are emitting energy, whether it's IR laser or IR illuminator. Passive, you are strictly shooting through your optic, passive with whatever ambient conditions there are. So this is set up, I shot in the active division. This right here is the Honey Badger 556 by Q. Thing is a ton of fun. This right here is their Southpaw dedicated 556 can. This gun, slick, weighs 4.5 pounds, made for really, really lightweight setup. I ended up using that Tac Sling, had it right here with a QD, and then right here, this little QD is actually made by Sig Sauer. I like it. How rigid is this handguard? I don't know, and I didn't really want to find out right in the middle of a competition. And if you start loading, honestly, no matter how rigid a handguard is, if you end up loading a point on it, like with a sling, you're probably going to end up with deflection. So having that right there, one, not a ton of real estate on this gun. It got the sling to where it formed it or served its function, but had it out of the way of my hand and stuff. And if I did wrench on it for whatever reason, I wasn't going to put enough input to change anything. Like this is almost directly over the barrel nut right there too. Starting at the front, coming back, this right here is the Surefire XVL2-IRC. Originally made for a pistol. I have never shot it on a pistol. It is hands down my favorite device for pretty much any type of subgun. Is it a compromise? It is, just like everything about every gun, period, is a compromise. Are there better white lights? Yes. Are there better IR illuminators? Yes. Are there better Viz and IR lasers and IR illuminators and white lights? Probably not. This does all the things, and the switching is really easy if you've ever shot any Surefire like X300 lights. Thing's amazing. The one thing I will say I really don't like about it is this switch to go between settings is really difficult, and you can't really do it with gloves. So yeah, not my favorite there. And yeah, the output is a compromise. It's basically a big flood, does a great job with respect to illumination, but there's no switching it to like a narrow beam or anything like that. So there were definitely stages where I turned this on and there was a bunch of obstruction stuff in the front. It pushed a bunch of that IR energy back at me, but in part because of my nods, was still able to see what I needed to see downrange and get good hits. So absolutely worked. And it is just really small and light. It does all the things. Coming back here on a ScalarWorks mount, this is the Aimpoint Micro T2. I think there were probably a couple shots I ended up taking passive. Pretty much largely was shooting everything active on this gun. There were a couple times just because of, again, this putting out too much, or just knowing that there were things in front of me that was going to reflect back. Threw it up over nods, broke the shots, did good. This right here also, well, that and this grip here by Die Free Company. This is the Kung Fu grip. That right there is the Tiger Claw, and yeah, this gun was a ton of fun to shoot, not to mention really light to carry around, which gets really important when you're carrying two guns around also. Real quick before I forget, I had one malfunction with my Honey Badger 5.56, and it was probably on me. In that I was starting a stage, inserted the magazine, charged it, pulled the magazine out, felt top round, it definitely stripped around. If you listen to guns, they will talk to you. And when that went forward, it didn't quite sound right. And I reached up, well, it's in the bolt. I reached up, couldn't really feel it with gloves. Also, I was the first shooter in the night. We needed to get through 5 stages. I need to shoot 5 stages twice. I didn't want to go through the hassle of like unloading any of that stuff. Totally bit me. Got up there at first fighting position, dropped the hammer. It apparently was just out of battery. Charged it, got rid of that round, whatever had happened. I have no idea what. I think honestly it was probably on me. I'm pretty sure because I did it earlier and then actually caught it another time. Loaded the magazine to 31. There was so much tension on there that it did not fully seat, even though I couldn't feel anything up here. So it was basically that little bit out of battery. I'll own that. I did run into one issue or one malfunction with this. I have no idea what it was. I was basically down under a table shooting passive with this thing, and something happened. Like, it felt weird, like that recoil impulse. Tried to press the trigger, nothing. Charged it, I'm pretty sure a round went out, and continued on. Only 2 issues I had, respectively, 1 issue with each of these guns. Which brings us to this one right here. This right here is the Boombox by Q, chambered in 8.6. It is a 12-inch barrel, I believe it is. 12, not 12.5. I always forget. Thing's awesome. Really awesome. Right here is the pork chop. It is the longer of the 2. They also make the short chop suppressor. And right here is their kickstand. Did I shoot with the kickstand a bunch? I did not. It absolutely came in handy though. More than anything, I would pull the kickstand out either like that or even just cocked forward like that. Set the gun down in between stages, just keep it off the ground. Then I could throw my other gun over the top of it, just keep it off the dirt, honestly. And there was one stage where you're throwing a kettlebell, had to pick it up, shoot, throw the kettlebell, move down. I actually had this set up to where I could go ahead and set this thing down. Probably wasted time like setting it down, making sure it wasn't going to fall over, throwing the kettlebell, picking it back up, but it also just kept this gun from getting smashed down into the dirt, and it's probably valuable on some level. Up here I have their QD socket that fits with a Q-cert. Ended up running it from there, and then back here there's no QD, there's this piece which ended up on that sling. Use the Blue Force Gear U-loop. Works really well to attach slings. Moving back, I forget who makes this right here. It's basically a sling keeper. This little piece comes out, nests in there, elastic going around. This right here is Q's hand stop for mounts directly to their Q-cert. And then back here is the Die Free Company, their Kung Fu grip with their plug. Have an extra 1 or 2 CR123 batteries because pretty much everything I was shooting ran on them. And then right here's the EOTech EXPS3, I believe it is, the one with the night vision settings. Man, this gun, so much fun to shoot. Also, so expensive to shoot. Went through a lot of rounds in that competition, which actually reminds me. So I had a bunch of ammo from the Just Cause Solutions, a bunch of their 300 grain and some of their 350 grain hollow point, their something Rex ammo. Stuff shoots great. Shot that, and I was looking at, I'm like, how much ammo do I have? Because per the competition, they're like, hey, minimum round count's like 250 rounds. I'm like, well, I got like 260 rounds. Honestly, it was somewhere in there. It was pretty close, and I'm like, man, this is gonna be tight. So I actually reached out to a buddy, Mitch, one of the engineers over at Q, who actually like lead engineer designing this thing. And I was like, hey, are you coming to this? And do you by chance have any ammo you can bring, any 8.6? Because I shipped pretty much everything I had for the competition there. And while he wasn't showing up, Q being the title sponsor, they ended up actually sending a couple shooters, 2 of which engineers, both silencer engineers, awesome guys. And so they basically hand carried me, I think, 4 boxes of Gorilla 300 grain, and at the very end I did dip into that. I think honestly I was only over like the ammo I brought probably about 20-25 rounds, but yeah, that 80 rounds that got sent down definitely saved me and gave us some extra ammo. So buddies that we were hanging out at the Airbnb actually had a range there, kind of crazy. Everyone got to actually put some rounds through it, so that was fun also. Coming away from it, is there anything I would have changed? No, I don't think so. I had a blast, like shooting these 2 guns, so much fun. I will say, fortunately, they're both nice and light, which is cool because hiking around with 2 guns for 2 nights in a row, shooting double the stages, which, man, in hindsight, I don't know if that was the play. Shooting 2 divisions each night. Ideally, I actually was going to try and come out early to shoot the staff match in 1 division, either passive or active, and then just shoot the regular main match. Why shoot 2 different? Well, 1, I'm already out there, and 2, for the sake of content, getting experience with different setups, either shooting active or shooting passive, for the sake of creating content, and honestly just getting to see it in a different light. Like, largely shooting the same stages with 2 different setups, active and passive. Like, it was definitely 2 different matches for sure. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Pretty rough though, some of those stages, shooting them back to back, like the kettlebell stage that night. Like, yeah, some of them definitely smoked me, but had an awesome time out there, and yeah, don't think I would have really changed anything. Had a good time. But if you want to check any of this stuff out, there'll be links down below where you can. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.